Apple controls the majority of mobile email opens and a huge chunk of SMS delivery endpoints. Doesn't matter who you are and what you're doing, you are communicating with kind of iOS enabled devices, whether you like it or not. And if they change the rules, every brand and marketer in e-commerce feels it and needs to get ahead of it and needs to understand, frankly, the kind of repercussions of it.
50% of the market now uses iOS devices. They are a dominating force in this market, especially. They're not positioning themselves as an anti-marketer. It's actually supposed to be pro-consumer, more privacy, less spam, more control. But in practice, what this really means for us is that it's going to create less visibility as marketers. Yo, what's up, Chase?
Hey man, how are you?
Good to see you back in the 2D world.
Yeah, likewise. It was a lot of fun, huh?
Yeah, no, Commerce Roundtable was a blast. Saw a lot of friends. I know some people who are listeners of this pod definitely were there, which was really cool.
Yeah, it was great to finally meet people. I'm tired, but I'm excited. I'm energized also at the same time.
Yeah, no, it was great, and yeah, it was inspirational. I think that's the way I always look at my events, and all events I go to is I always come back a little bit more fired up and a little inspired. It's a reason to be out at these events, and if you're not feeling that when you go to events, you're probably not really embracing the maximum value of what an event could do for you.
Or going to the right event, right? I think the right
Yeah,
event,
that
right
also helps a
folks,
bit too.
that's important. So, dude, well, I'm excited. We
Yeah.
got a big topic today, don't we?
Yeah, we're going to talk about iOS 26, dude. It just came out not too long ago. I don't know about you. It's draining my battery every day, but hopefully they'll make a fix for it soon. But otherwise, let's talk about how it's affecting marketing. You ready to do this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
From the open to the click, they're the masters of the flow. Just watch your list grow and your leads turn to gold. Did we retain you so far, or do we have to extend it? If you want results, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Send It, where we discuss anything and everything retention marketing, specifically in email and SMS marketing and e-commerce. My name is Jimmy Kim, and I'm here with my co-host,
Chase Dimond.
All right, Chase. So today we're diving into one of the biggest shifts since retention marketers had to deal with right now, and it's called Apple iOS 26. It's a very privacy-first update that changes exactly how we track, measure, and even how we get our messages seen. That's the key word here.
That's right, man. I mean, it's always something coming from Apple. This is a big one, right? This update really is kind of putting marketers on shaky grounds. We've seen it with mail privacy protection, app tracking transparency, link tracking protection, and now we have iOS 26, right? And it does have quite large and impactful, implications for email and SS marketers like yourself, myself, and the folks listening to this.
Yeah, dude. So here's what I want to do for today's pod so we can break down iOS 26. There's 3 things I want to talk about here, and this is how we'll talk about it in the next 20, 30 minutes. What is iOS 26 actually changes? So we'll break that down because there's a lot of information in this market, so we want to make sure that it's very concise and in front of you. We'll talk about how it's changing old playbooks and email and SMS, and especially with Black Friday and Cyber Monday coming up. These are things that you got to think about. And then we'll talk about some strategies that you can stay and you should be testing to stay ahead of this curve along the way. What do you think?
Yeah, let's run it. So why don't we start with why iOS 26 matters? So first, does it matter? And the short answer is obviously, or we wouldn't be talking about it, right? It matters because Apple controls the majority of mobile email opens and a huge chunk of SMS delivery endpoints, right? So it doesn't matter who you are and what you're doing, you are communicating with kind of iOS enabled devices, whether you like it or not. And if they change the rules, every brand and marketer in e-commerce feels it and needs to get ahead of it and needs to understand, frankly, the kind of repercussions of it.
Yeah, and I think like 50% of the market now uses iOS devices. So we're starting to continue to see, they are a dominating force in this market, especially. And what's interesting is that Apple's positioning here, and I want to be clear here, is that they're not positioning themselves as an anti-marketer. It's actually supposed to be pro-consumer. What they're trying to do is more privacy, less spam, more control. But in practice, what this really means for us is that it's going to create less visibility as marketers.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy. They are for the consumer, right? And it just makes our job that much harder. So I think the best way to think about it is like this. If Gmail owns your inbox, Apple owns your phone, right? Obviously, right, there's a lot of Android, but Apple is, very, very strong in the market. And when they tighten how kind of data flows through Safari, through mail, through messages, etc., we're talking about billions of interactions getting harder to actually measure.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. So let's break down these actual changes here. I think there's 4 buckets that really comes down to, okay? We'll go through each one of them. Link tracking protection, right? There's number one, and we've actually got a little bit of a solution coming out down the road for this that we're working internally on. Number two, fingerprinting defenses. We'll talk about what that means. Email engagement distortion. All right, this is an interesting thing to think about. And then the big one that everyone's talking about right now is SMS filtering and placement. So let's talk about these.
Yeah, all right. Let's start at the top. Let's go one by one. So the first one that I believe you mentioned was the link tracking protection. So essentially what's happening is Apple now is going to strip kind of common tracking parameters. Things like kind of the GC lid, right? Basically, if you look at it, it's like the GC LID, that's from Google. And then there's also the same type of thing for Meta, which is, basically FB standing for Facebook, and then CLID, right? And then there's tons of others that follow very similar parameters. Safari, Mail, and even Messages are all going to have the same type of, strips kind of happening.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And, I'm sure people are going, what does this mean in practice? Well, let's put it this way. You run a campaign with a UTM link, right? Your analytics show a click, but when that traffic lands on your site, half of it looks like direct NGA, and your ad manager is going to call it attribution. So everything is going to be a little bit muddy really fast.
As if it wasn't hard enough, right? And that's just not an inconvenience alone. It also, like, if you don't know which campaigns are working, how do you know like where to allocate your budget? The answer to that question is you don't, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit like the blind leading the blind ultimately. And that we've seen brands already starting moving to what they called server side tracking, which is sending like conversion data from their back end rather than relying on that like URL parameters that are included there. And then secondly, Chase, obviously we're trying to figure out on our side as we've already kind of seen this coming, and we've got a little tool that we've come out. And when you hear this, it'll be a little early still, but just keep your eye out. We're going to talk about it more as we share more, but we've been beta testing for now, 2 months now, I think 2 months now. And we're seeing some really cool stuff, especially with the bot side of things. Hey, it's Jimmy. Quick 15 seconds of your time because I have something fun to share. Did you know between the two of us, Chase and I, we have over 20 years of experience in email marketing? Recently, we put our minds together to create a certification program that takes all of our knowledge and share it to the world. It's called Ecom Email Certified. It's an end-to-end course certification program that's designed to take anyone, regardless if you're a newbie or an experienced marketer, founder, executive, agency marketer, or any marketing professional, to teach them everything we know about email marketing SMS. From deliverability to AI to copywriting to design to strategy, we cover it all. It's loaded with 175 modules and 25 hours of education combined with quizzes, community, all designed to educate, test, certify you to become a full-fledged email marketer for e-commerce. And so since you're listening to this pod, we want to reward you with loyalty by giving you a coupon for $200 off this certification. Just jump over to ecomemailcertified.com, check the show notes, and now back to your pod.
Yeah, it's insane. And subtle plug, if you're using Shopify, Klaviyo, or Omnisend, hit us up if you want to get into the early group. So let's talk about the next one. So the next one is kind of the device fingerprinting defenses. So essentially what's happening here is Apple's also injecting kind of noise into device signals. So, kind of like those probabilistic kind of attribution systems, fingerprinting based on screen size, fonts, or IP, they're now all less reliable as well.
Interesting. So what that really means is that retargeting and cross-device stitching gets a bit weaker than it already was. So if your stack depends on that for lookalikes or cross-channel messaging or matching, that's probably going to start to seeing some slippage.
Exactly right.
All right. Let's go to the third one. I think this is a really fun one. Email engagement distortion. Now, look, open rates have been shaky ever since the MPP or mail privacy policy in iOS 15 came out. iOS 26 doesn't fix that. It almost doubles down on it. Open rates are going to be more inflated, noisy, and even more or actually less trustworthy.
Yeah, could you believe that? I didn't imagine that they would double down. It seems like it's bad enough and fine as is. Just let it be. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So, marketers that still optimize for kind of subject lines based solely on open rates are going to have an even harder time understanding what's actually happened, right? It's going to be like you talked about before. You're going to just be flying way more blind now, unfortunately. So your true North Star, while it should be this and it should have been this, now needs to be clicks and kind of more downstream engagement and lifetime value, etc.
No, absolutely. I think a lot of these other metrics are going to almost formulate it. And look, open rates will always be a trend line, but they
Yes.
won't ever be a real reliable magic. They're not. This isn't 1999 anymore, ultimately, and things are just ultimately changing. I remember open rates were very realistic before, but it just continues to change, and it's good for marketers to adapt. So, look, I want to move to the last one here, which is SMS filtering and placement, because this is a big one. iOS 26 introduced what they called screen unknown senders. If your number isn't saved within someone's contact, or they haven't interacted with you before, aka responded to you or whatever, your text may be kind of pushed into this bucket called unknown sender tab. I've already been seeing this on my phone already. Have you seen it?
Yeah, slowly. I don't get a lot of text messages intentionally, but the few that I have, I'm seeing a percentage of those show this as well, which is only going to get worse, right?
Yep.
And actually too, that's not all. Like messages are also being categorized into transactions versus promotion. So transactions like order updates, those seem to be safe and okay, but more like promotion and kind of offer related type stuff, they might not actually even trigger a notification at all.
No, 100%. That's what I've been seeing. They just show up a little bubble on the side, but if you don't click on it, look at unknown senders, you don't actually see those messages. And people I've been interacting with so long, meaning like I've been on their list for a while, are still ending up in that bucket because I'm not going to save. It's weird to save a brand's marketing number in my phone, so I've never done that, and I don't know if you can get me to build that habit. It's gonna be an interesting one to kind of see in there. And the thing that I think about, especially with Black Friday coming up, is imagining you spend a big dollar on an SMS drop for the flash sale because you're going to spend half a penny to a penny per SMS, and you drop it huge to your audience, and half your iPhone people, which is 50% of your audience or more, doesn't even get a ping.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've touted kind of SMS for a long time because of the quote unquote opens, right? Like near 100%, not 100%, close to 100% of people actually open. Now, right, if that happens, now the open rates are going to be more like email. So it's interesting to see, like, do you spend as much on SMS? I don't know. And the only real way around this is to become a known sender fast. But to your point, like, it isn't something that people do instinctually. So you really have to start structuring your opt-ins and your welcome flows to drive engagement. Getting early replies, getting people to save you as a contact. I guess everyone on email always says, add us to your contact book, respond, do these types of things. Like that same type of thing is coming to SMS, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, like I'm sure you kind of see this too. Like every like channel that comes out, they all kind of go through some of the same ordeals as email has gone to. Email being so old, it's almost set like the legacy standard of what's going to happen. And this is a perfect example. We saw SMS, which was like, if you look 3 years ago, we would say it's like an early 2010 email, but now it's rapidly caught up to what we would consider more and more likely to be like email or SMS. So if you say you get almost 100% open rate, knowing that 50% of those people, you're basically saying that you're going to get about 25% reduction in what we call an open rate on SMS immediately because of known sender problems, probably, if not more
Yeah.
of a reduction. So, all right, let's connect the dots here, dude. Let's talk about impacts here and what breaks first ultimately. So there's three things that I think I understood from this kind of release that I understood. So attribution drift, right? More
Yep.
direct, and I put quotes if you're not watching this on YouTube because it's not really direct, but it's going to say direct in your GA. You're going to have very few clean UTM trails. SMS onboarding fragility starts to come into a problem. First touch text may vanish into filters. This is a problem, right? I opt in, right? And I'm getting my 10% promotional coupon and then ends up in filters. I don't respond to it because I got my coupon. I might automatically take that coupon, post it, and do it. It's not going to come back into my main inbox, right? And then last and not least, of course, is the metric illusion. I think this needs to be continued to talk about. Opens are noise, clicks may underreport, and conversions path a blur, right? there's going to be a lot of like confusion that is happening, exactly why we're building what we're building together,
Yeah.
and something that we want to put in the market because we understand what we need to look at. And even our early testing is showing, what are we seeing, like 20-30% less from like an ESP reporting to our internal reporting on our system? Is that a fair number that we're
Yeah.
seeing already?
Hey there, it's Chase, and I hope you're enjoying the pod so far. I want to quickly talk to you about one of our sponsors. And yes, sales tax. I know no one wants to hear this. However, if you are selling online, you're probably spending way too much time, money, and stress on something that needs to be automated. Enter Kintsugi. They're named after the Japanese art of turning broke pottery into something beautiful and resilient. And that's exactly what they do for your tax chaos. Their AI monitors, files, and optimizes your sales tax automatically across all states and jurisdictions. We're talking about saving you some serious time. Their average customer saves 9 hours every single month. That's over 100 hours a year that you're going to get back to focus on actually growing your business. And here's where it gets really good. No longer will you have to have expensive tax professionals that eat into your profits. Kintsugi's AI handles compliance with a 98.3% reduction in errors. That's practically bulletproof accuracy. And they have many one-click integrations with your existing systems. That means the setup is painless, and their white glove support team has your back every step of the way. Sales tax headaches? Consider them eliminated forever. And it's for e-commerce, SaaS, and even agencies. Really, anyone that pays a sales tax needs this, and they need Kintsugi. And we have a very, very special offer for you. So if you mention myself and Jimmy, you'll get 3 months completely free. That's 3 months of automated tax filing, perfect compliance, and getting your life back. Visit trykintsugi.com and mention Jimmy and myself for your 3-month head start. Yeah, and we, actually were building this before we even knew about iOS 26. So talk about being at the right place at the right time. We wanted to solve for some other things that we really needed to, and it actually solves for parts of this as well. So we got kind of lucky. But with Jimmy, what Jimmy just mentioned, for retention marketers, this essentially just means, like with the attribution drift, the SMS type stuff, the metric illusions, that if you don't adjust, you're flying blind and shouting into the void.
No, 100%. The scary part to all this is going to hurt most high volume campaigns, abandoned carts, product drops, promos, where timing and visibility are everything. So there's a lot of things to think about it. So as you're listening to this pod, you're probably like, okay, Jimmy, Chase, you're scaring me. You've got us worried. What do we do about this damn thing, right? So of course we came equipped with strategies. We're going to give you some strategies to adapt to this thing. So I'll kind of start from my side and kind of share you some strategies that I kind of looked up. Here's 3 of them, and we'll talk about them. So first, I think about SMS visibility. So there's a lot of ways to create opt-in noise, right? You've seen this before. The 2-tap user flows when the subscriber initiates by tapping a free pre-filled SMS. I've learned Apple sees this as engagement. So 2-tap opt-in, or getting someone to do something like send you a message to opt in. These are really powerful, right? These are called deep linking. There's a lot of ways to look at it. Your ESP or your favorite pop-up provider, they should have some version of this available today. I think everybody has it. But the more you can get them to be the first action taker, the more engagement you can have, which will put you in the right inbox ultimately. And then you've got engagement prompting. I think this is going to be a big trick because everyone's going to be trying to figure out how to get them to engage. Quick question, what's your style? A or B? Any reply is going to boost everything. Then we're going to go back to the old vCard, right? vCards are like the contact cards you can send on SMS. You're going to be able to send this vCard in a welcome or post-purchase, really just to get them to add you, right? To get them to think about you and get you involved into this thing, right? And then the last thing we have is category awareness. The thing that I think about is keeping promos punchy, but flag true urgency as time sensitive, so users are likely to allow those notifications. Try to find a reason. One of my favorite things I would start thinking about is shifting my SMS channel just a little bit and say, hey guys, my SMS is going to be used for my flash drops. So if you don't have me added or turn me on to the notifications, you may miss my flash drop. And everyone loves a good flash sale drop or a mystery drop, especially if you have that kind of audience. So there's ways to think about it, but that's definitely some of the things you have. So that's the first thing that I'm thinking strategy wise. What about you, Chase? What do you got?
Cool. Yeah, I think that was great on the SMS side. In terms of the email and kind of web measurement side, so you kind of alluded to this before, but leveraging like server-side tracking. So being able to kind of pipe and tie events from your backend. We've been working with someone called like a TrackB. That it's a great solution for something like this. Running kind of incrementality tests, so running holdout tests and lift studies to get a little bit more sense of like the cleaner, kind of truer truth. Branded links, so this is a big part of kind of what we solve for. So hit us up, but branded links, so build trust and possibly reduce kind of some of the stripping that's going to happen. And then leveraging some of like the OS segmentation, so breaking out iOS versus Android to try to isolate some of the kind of impact that's going to happen due to the iOS side of things.
Yeah, it's good to see that too. I think our tool breaks down the iOS and Android side of things. This is really important. Never has it been more important that you understand between a user of iOS and Android on your list, because that will react with a different KPI and data point ultimately. And that leads me to the next one, which is like the KPI shifts. I think when you're thinking about what you need to adapt for strategy, you start needing to adapt what the KPIs mean, right? One, we say it a million times. I know you guys will still run. I know your clients, if you're an agency or your boss, may say this, but dudes, stop celebrating open rates. It's not real anymore. Everyone gets good open rates. And if you get bad open rates, you're just in a whole different realm, because almost everybody I see gets good open rates. I'm putting quotes around it again for those who are not watching us on film. Focus on these two things: revenue per recipient and revenue per subscriber. These are really easy things to understand. RPR and RPS are very much data points you want to start tracking, because that's telling you how much money you're making out of your list for real. This is the only data point that's going to start really making sense here outside of clicks ultimately, because those are action points, right? And then, of course, watch reply rates of SMS, not just the delivery report, but look at how many people are replying, because your job is to create more engagement. And then you're going to have to kind of start monitoring those retention cycle lists over 30, 90 days. Look, everything we do, and you know it as much, Chase, as all the listeners of this pod, retention is a long-term game, and it doesn't work over a short, hacky time. So what you put in today is not going to output tomorrow. It's going to take 30 to 90 days to see the retention cycle and the lift that you might create for those.
Yeah, and unfortunately, everything we're talking about no longer is kind of just in the nice to have bucket. They really become necessities, because that's the only way you're going to survive is if you implement these tactics, frankly.
Yeah. So let's build these into some examples here. Like, how does this kind of like strategies that we kind of shared, how do they actually work into life cycles? Okay, so let's make this more concrete. So a welcome flow, you should have the 2-tap to join, right? Something to make them actually do something.
Yeah.
Your first SMS should be a question and then your email should be a value email, right? So you can establish like almost a known sender as instantly as possible. Something that really gets engagement going on, right? I can look at it in like a abandoned cart, same thing too. You want to have SMS and email. They need to work together now more than ever. You need to be using a partner that has both of them together, because you need to try to get their attention, their signals, because SMS is going to have the similar challenge to email now today. One's going to filter the other. One of them will save the sale. Things like back in stock timing, man, that's going to be even more important, right? This is what I was talking about earlier of getting people to like, add you to the thing. If back in stock, it might be where you need to start thinking about, how do I evolutionize someone to realize if they really want this product and want to be alerted, they need to be on the highest and best priority list, which leads to like promotional stuff, right? Encouraging this, right? This is going to be the most important. Look, we know this, you know this, like there's very few people on your list, not few, but there's a small subsection or majority that are welcome and ready to buy. They're just looking for the next deal or whatever it might be. A lot of people are just browsing constantly, and it's just noise, and something might catch your eye and end up buying. But you need to start encouraging more replies. Text yes to join a VIP or early access list. So you're building some kind of engagement and also trust and increasing that. I'm sure in the back end of Apple, there's some kind of data point around this phone number and their engagement and their percentage, and they're starting to rank you. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the future. Hey, okay, I'm disrupting the pod for just a quick 60-second break and a quick little shout out to our title sponsors of the podcast, Omnisend. Okay, for those that don't know, Omnisend is an all-in-one email and SMS marketing automation platform specifically designed for e-commerce brands. They make it super easy to engage with customers, drive repeat sales, and create those seamless personal experiences we're always talking about. Here's 3 things I love about OmniSend. First and foremost, they're trusted by over 125,000 e-commerce merchants worldwide that absolutely love them. With a 4.8 rating star with over 6,000 reviews on the Shopify App Store, it's an obvious choice for your email, SMS, and push needs. Secondly, I love great customer support. And OmniSend, they're absolutely nailing it. They're responsive, their help docs are great, and their team is absolutely fantastic. And third, they have great features and better pricing. Pricing matters just as much as features, and OmniSend, you're going to get both of those. And they have all the features you need for your store, and their pricing is absolutely fantastic. In fact, recently I just heard a story about 2 community members that made the switch. One reduced his price from $8,500 to $3,500, which is huge, but even bigger, that $3,500 included SMS, which is absolutely wild. Then another agency I just recently talked to, they just switched their entire client base over, and he's been saving his clients anywhere from 30 to 60% off their bill, which is allowing them to take that money and reinvest it on the top of the funnel so they can make more ads and make more money. OmniSend nails these 3 things that I care most about: great support, great features, and fair pricing. Plus, I just helped Chase make the move to OmniSend with his own personal email list, and their migration was super easy. They even have a team to help you support you, and they have a great automated tool to bring your contacts right over. So if you're looking to take your email marketing to the next level, I highly recommend checking out OmniSend. They got the tools, the automation, the expertise to help your brands grow and thrive. Head over to omnisend.com/send it to learn more and start scaling your customer engagement today. Now let them know Chase and Jimmy sent you. Now let's get back to the pod.
Yeah, and we're kind of coming off just our commerce roundtable talk where we talked about email, SMS, and push. With all the data that we saw, and by the way, that presentation that we did will be live on our channel in the coming weeks. But with that learnings and kind of everything here, it really is just a good reminder, like, don't put all of your chips into a single channel. Don't just do email. You really need to make sure that you're doing email, SMS, push, and making sure that you have kind of unique but also connected orchestration between all of them. That's the only way that you can ensure that you're going to continue to drive revenue from, these types of channels.
Dude, I 100% agree. And yes, if you're listening to this pod and you're like, what is Jimmy and Chase talking about? Either before this pod or after this pod. I don't know when we're going to release this versus when the other thing will go live. But we talk about all these data points. And one thing is very clear from those data points. It's not email or SMS or push notification. It's email and SMS and push in order to do it. And dude, with the 600 people in the crowd and the people raising their hand that we had, not a lot of people leave push. And one thing we learned from the OmniSend data is, dude, push makes money and it's free
Amazing.
money. And dude,
Amazing.
Chase, I know you like free money. I love free money. When there's money on the street, you got to pick it up. And it's something I think about. So, all right, recap, right? So let's do a quick takeaway. iOS 26 makes tracking and attribution blurrier, right? Yep. Number 2, SMS is more invisible unless you become a known sender. So become a known sender. Figure out how to become a known sender. Open rates, dude, they're even more dead than they were before. Start shifting those KPIs. This is to your agencies out there. This is to the founders out there. This is to the leaders. I don't know who needs to hear this, but open rates are more unreliable than ever. Please, please, please stop measuring or presenting to your clients with this. It doesn't mean anything. And last but not least, think server-side, engagement-driven, multi-channel strategies. These are the future things that you need to think about. If you're not doing it, you need to get on it. There's a lot of great tools and services in the market. I'm not going to plug in because of this, but if you really want to know, hit myself or Chase up. We'll give you names. Actually, TrackBee is a perfect example of one of a server-side engagement-driven tool. So they are someone that we like and work with internally, so that's a good one.
Heck yeah. And dude, I don't mean to be pessimistic, and I don't mean to be kind of negative, but these updates, unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to look at it, level the playing field. Those folks that are kind of being lazy and don't want to get with the times, unfortunately, they're going to have a hard time, and I feel for them, right? So hopefully, if you're listening to this, that's not you, because you're investing the time and energy it takes to really learn what's coming. So you, as a result, kind of being smart, value-driven, data-driven brand marketer, whatever you want to call yourself, you will have the ability to win unproportionally.
Dude, couldn't have said it any better myself. I mean, who listens to Send It? People who actually want to better themselves in marketing. I would hope so, because that's all we talk about. We're not, personality is personality. We're great guys, but the reality is you should be listening to us because of the content we give you and the cutting edge thought processes we give you. So you shouldn't be. So stop stressing about iOS 26. think about how you can start solving it, start preventing yourself, get ahead of it, start adapting, because Black Friday is nearby, and this is going to certainly impact Black Friday, and we'll have more details about it once we get those.
Yep.
Cool. Well, dude, that's a wrap, dude. iOS 26. If you enjoyed today's pod, guys, make sure you like, follow, boom, give us a thumbs up, and make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast listening platform, and leave us a review too. We always recommend YouTube because we like to share images and different things. But if you're not, we're also on X, LinkedIn, IG, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. I mean, all these different ways. Now, there's a few ways to connect with us in every way that you can. But first and foremost, you can connect us by joining our newsletter, emailmarketer.com. Link in the show notes description across the screen right now. You'll be able to join us, subscribe. We drop a daily retention newsletter. We also have a course and community available too. There's 2 different things there. So if you want to learn more and want to get more deeply certified by us, you can come join our 25 hours of training to get involved in there. And last but not least, we've got social media. Chase, where do they find you on social?
Most platforms, Chase, no A in Dimond.
Yeah, and absolutely. And you can find me more on LinkedIn and X today, or within our private community too. Again, link in the show notes there. With that being said, Chase, appreciate you as always, and we'll see you next week, dude.
Cheers, man.
All right, see ya.
From the open to the click, they're the masters of the flow. Just watch your list grow and your leads turn to go. Did we retain you so far, or do we have to extend it? If you want results, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it.